Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
As women in business, how can we support each other and find new ways to promote women helping women? We're going to discuss that today. And our topic is really around the area of collaboration and fitness, two things that I'm really passionate about. Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio. Our show today is That's What She Said with Maria Gallucci. We have a very special guest who's also joining us, but let's bring the star of our show out now. Welcome, Maria. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. It's nice to see you. And for people who haven't met you before, you are in the top 1.5% of all realtors in the nation, the U.S. You're also the author of the beautiful book, the cover behind you, Raised in Silence. And you are a child of 2 deaf parents, and you are fluent in sign language. And you're also the TV show host. So let's give you your proper due and switch you over.
Thank you so much. This has been great.
Well, in this episode, which is actually episode 4, we're going to be talking with Tony Longo, who is also a realtor and a fitness enthusiast, about these areas that we as women can really take advantage of to help not only promote ourselves and our wellness, but help promote other women. So let's welcome Tony to the program. Hello, Tony. Nice to have you here.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having me.
Tony, where in the world are you right now, and what is your passion in life?
So right now I'm in Denver, Colorado, but my passion really lies in, honestly, just helping and influencing others in a positive way through mindfulness and fitness. But I also do love real estate. I'm a realtor, and I've been in property management for a very long time, helping people find and settle into their homes.
Outstanding. Thank you. So, ladies, the first question that I'll ask you two collectively, because I shared previously, I had a real estate license for probably a New York minute, as they would say. I think it was a year, and I did one open house and I said goodbye. So it is a very tough business. It's not what people would think. I think people get the idea of it's so easy to match a buyer and a seller. There's a lot of regulations. There's a lot of long hours and documentation, and not only marrying people, but basically being a therapist in a lot of ways to try to understand what people are going through. So what is it that drew you both into the world of real estate? We'll start with Maria.
For me, it was just watching like my parents when I was younger, trying to have to interpret for them and just seeing the struggles that they had. And then I realized that I actually loved the real estate and showing houses and bringing people together, because I feel like it's very heartwarming to have someone be happy and see their house and making them feel like they belong somewhere. So for me, that was always important to me. So it's not about the number of transactions or anything for me. It's about making them feel like they're happy.
Brilliant. Thank you. And Tony, what would you add to that from your experience?
For me, really, it was more of just looking at houses from a really young age, from like 14, 15. I knew that I just loved real estate. I loved looking at houses from all different price points. And then when I had the opportunity to dive into the industry, was pretty much as soon as I got out of high school and I went into property management. From there, having the unsolicited compliments of like, wow, you really make this place feel like home, was just something that makes all of the stress worth it. It's just something that's impactful and really hits the heart, like Maria was saying, that it keeps it going.
Well, you both are doing very important work that is one of the biggest decisions people make in their lives. So how do the two of you have a camaraderie in a cutthroat business?
I think we hear about people talk about competition all the time, but collaboration, especially in real estate, can be so much more powerful, because I think that's why I believe working together is so important, because we're all in it for the same thing. Like we're trying to find someone their home, and we're trying to sell their house. So I think that when you collaborate with each other, it moves it so much further and makes relationships better. What do you think,
Yeah.
Tony?
I think for me, it's, collaboration. It just really smooths the process. There are a lot of times where we come across just individuals that may not be as focused on the client, and that's who we're serving at the end of the day. At the end of the day, someone wants to sell their house, someone wants to move in and call that place home. It's about us. It's not about what at the end of it. It's about who we're working for. And I think that that's something that gets missed. Because like you were saying before, some people are just kind of in it for the paycheck. That's not what it's about.
And for people who don't know, at least here in the US, what does that process look like? Let's say, Maria, you have a client and you actually are able to refer them to Tony. How does that work?
We would get they'll get a referral fee. So usually if you refer a client to another agent, because you're either not in the state or you're not in the city that they're looking at, you'll get a referral fee. So you just agree with the agent what that percentage would be.
So would you say that this is a good way to build a relationship with someone, right? It's mutually beneficial and the focus is really on the client.
Exactly, and that's what the ASL Realty, that's the nationwide company that I made. That is basically a referral network for people who are deaf and hard of hearing, that I connect them to somebody who is ASL speaking, and then we just get a referral fee for that. It's all about being connected and collaboration, I think, and that's what makes that's how success happens, especially when you're collaborating. So helping someone else doesn't take away from the success. I think it makes it better.
That is so profound. I'm really glad that you shared that, because I know when I was in corporate and I retired in 2020, it was very much about women really not supporting other women. You would feel like you had this connection with someone, and then next, bang, bang, knife in the back. And so I think it's so important that we as women support other women. And it's not about, oh, I don't want her getting ahead of me. It's kind of like, well, let me help you and someone will help me, because that's the way I feel that it works. Tony, what are your thoughts about women helping women?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think that it's one of those things where competition is fun in nature, but it belongs in certain things. It doesn't have to be in every single aspect of your life. And I think really when, if we talk about women supporting women, we try to really make names for ourselves and have positive character and positive image and be a positive influencer. You can't speak it and not act. Very true.
Very true. Maria, anything that you want to add or question Tony about in reference to this topic?
No, I agree. And I think that we always are hard on ourselves as well. And so I think that we're kinder to strangers than we are to our own self. And like, so I feel like if we all just like get along and know that we're not out to get each other, then that's what it is. And I think that, and you always speak about the word, mindfulness, like what, because a lot of people always picture that you're meditating on mountains or something like that. So what does mindfulness like actually mean to you, and how can we can bring that together with us being as women and everything?
In part of it, it is sitting on a mountain and I find that I feel a little more lost, if you would, in finding an aligned path. I do go to the mountains and meditate, but the biggest thing I think with mindfulness is let's just call it purpose, or how we make decisions. And it's great to be emotional, but to be less reactive, to be more aware of how, the decisions we're making may influence others and who's watching. For me, I have 2 little ones, and I want to set myself to be a good example and try to be a better version of myself every day. And with that, mindfulness is a key factor. So that way I can reflect and have constant within moments to be that better version of myself.
And I know that becoming a mom changes everybody in so many different ways. How did it change you when you had the little ones?
It's a little bit of a roller coaster. Sometimes there's things that you can't prepare yourself for. Mindfulness has always been a part of my life. And after I had my son, I was a little lost. There's a lot of people that go postpartum, and I had a fraction of that. But that's actually where getting back to fitness had saved me. So I can, with my daughter and my pregnancy with my daughter, have just an overall better mindset and prepare myself for the journey. And it was just amazing.
Do you teach, like, I guess I never thought about this. Do you teach the kids like that type, like mindfulness and fitness and things like that? Because it starts with us.
Yeah, I try to. There's only certain ways that they can be receptive of information. Validating feelings is a big thing. Knowing that they can be aware of how they're feeling. There's a lot of times, especially with the tantrums of a 6 and 3-year-old, there's a lot of times where I'll give them that moment, and if they want to talk about it, just asking them to announce what they're feeling is part in mindfulness, and then just go from there. It's hit or miss, because the brain can only absorb so much.
Yeah, that's true. I think that many of us are always trying to juggle work, the kids, family, relationships, and somehow I feel like we forget to take care of ourselves. You know what I mean? So what advice would you give people to change their mindset and think, make sure you're taking care of yourself? Because I think that self-care is so important on how we raise kids or how we treat others.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where sometimes it can be perceived as selfish, I feel like, where, us as moms need to take time to ourselves. I mean, we can throw dads in there too, but, when we take time to ourselves, it's seen as selfish. But if we can't be the best version of ourselves, then how can we bring that best version to our kids, to have patience, to have energy? One of the biggest things that I have stood by of the worst excuse is I don't have enough time. How many times are you, sitting and TV for 20 minutes, or on your phone scrolling is a huge thing for 20 minutes. I'm guilty of it too. Where just 20 minutes of even sitting outside and just breathing is something that can be much more impactful than scrolling, especially when it comes in term of mindfulness and what we would say is like taking a break for ourselves, because it can get very chaotic and patients can be tested. And we need to make sure we have avenues to let that out.
What do you think? There's something that's that self-care, but it really isn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, because we all have what do you call it when y'all have habits and things or rituals of the things that you do for self-care. Obviously scrolling on social media is not self-care. So what other ones would you say is
Right?
that we think is doing something?
That's a really great question of what's self-care or perceived self-care. What is it? Because I think that there's, kind of leaning into things what we would identify as vices, I don't know. I think kind of when you that's a really great question. I don't know. I'm like stumped because there's we can list all the things that are right self-care.
Exactly. So what would not be?
I think there's this and I could be guilty of it too, but I just need a break is a good example of something where, we are trying to find that emotional break, that emotional relief, and it's in what would be advice, where it's just I don't know. It could be just kind of like a false relief. It's like, no, I'm just taking this time to myself. Like this is going to make me feel less stressed. It's not necessarily bad if you would, but when you're like, oh no, I take my 20 minutes. I go out and I have a cigarette. I go out and I unwind and I get my 15-minute break. That's all fine and dandy, and everyone's different, but there's other things that could be truly beneficial over a long term, spiritually, health-wise, and yeah.
Exactly. And I get guilty of that too. Like you think, oh, I'm just going to have a glass of wine just to calm down. But is that really healthy for you? Even though, I love wine. So,
we can argue with wine. It's healthy for
yeah, that's true. And when you're speaking of social media, I feel like it really makes it's so easy to compare ourselves to other people, especially when we're scrolling on social media, so that can make us feel less confident about ourselves. How do you think, or what advice would you give to keep yourself grounded from like trying to compare yourself to others?
Get off of it. There's a lot of times where I'll even cleanse myself. If I see, and that's the importance in naming. That's the importance in naming how you're feeling and tying it to mindfulness, but naming how you're feeling and then getting to the root of, okay, where is it coming from? How can I separate myself from where I'm feeling the most? Whether it's, judgmental, self-judgment is huge, right? Where we're our own worst enemies. And there's times where I'll find myself scrolling endlessly and I'll be looking at things and feeling bad and okay, I need a break. And it's crazy because I'll delete the app because I know myself and I can't just tell myself. I even have a 15-minute limit and I just keep hitting add 15 minutes. It's pretty bad. But I have to delete the app in its entirety to truly get a cleanse. And it's one of those things where when we're sitting bored, how easy is it? Oh no. When we're sitting bored, how easy is it to just grab your phone and you do it almost instinctually? And even have the app deleted, I will instinctually start typing Instagram into my search bar to get it to open it. And it's typically when I stop doing that, and then I give myself 2 weeks after that to then, re-download it and say, okay, I've given myself enough space, let me revisit. Because I also do love it as a platform, especially for my fitness. I do love it as a platform to just share. Content is one of those things. In order to reach people, you got to do it. Unfortunately, it's a love-hate that I have with social media, but when you can get people from, I've had women in Utah, women in San Francisco reach out to me and, kind of create that internal support system. It makes it worth it.
Yeah, exactly. And because I struggle with comparing myself a lot, especially in real estate, because you always want to be like the number one or the best of the best. So I struggle with that a lot. So I had to figure out how to not do that and know that, it's okay not to be the best. Everyone's just different in their own ways. And I think that a lot of people spend their lives trying to prove that they're enough. And I feel like I've done that since I was a kid, like trying to get your parents' love and things like that. So have you ever struggled with that? And what advice would you give for that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm the youngest of 4. So already I felt like I needed to prove myself. And with that, that's something that I carried on and I'm still working on. It's funny because at one point I was really proud of saying that I was a very competitive person. And recently I have sat with that thought and was like, you know what? Maybe it's not as prideful as I should be with it in certain circumstances because of who are you trying to prove, right? If it's something for yourself, that's one thing. But if it's something to others, you don't have to prove yourself to others. Everyone in their own aspect is unique and worthy. And, everyone has faults and that's okay. And it doesn't always have to be that you have to be the best. One of the things that I found that has kind of recently been helping me is if you have a compliment to a random stranger that's, pops in your head, to say it, compliment to anyone, to say it, to kind of stop that, oh, I wish I was them, or I wish I had that, or I wish I looked like that, and be happy with yourself in your own journey, but then share the compliment of, you look amazing, you're doing a great job, I'm really proud of you, and share that with them versus being, judgmental for them having that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I always say one act of kindness to someone else can completely alter their day and their lives. So I've always been trying to give people compliments my entire life because it makes them feel good, and you don't know what they're struggling with that day. And so was there a moment that you finally realized that you were enough exactly who you are? Because I know that you had struggled a little bit after having your boy, and so I know that you've gone through a lot after that.
Honestly, it's still an upward battle. There's, and that's one thing that I really love about mindfulness is it's a practice, just like learning to ride a bike, just like, swimming, training, you have to practice. You can't just do it. So there are plenty of moments where I struggle with feeling worthy or feeling like enough now. I judge a lot on my career and success, as many people do. And that's one thing where easily one bad thought can spiral, right? Mm-hmm. But I would say I'll advocate for it because it's helped me substantially in my mindfulness journey. But I have a therapist / mindfulness coach, just the way that she navigates sessions is a very mindfulness forward approach that has helped me substantially in creating and utilizing, because that's the practice part, but utilize tools to stop the self-judgment. Sometimes it's like we have these two versions of ourselves. We have our true self and our ego. Our ego is where that self-judgment comes in, and It likes to be recognized. It likes to be validated, but it doesn't need all of the attention. So really just every day trying to find moments to not only hold myself to my own values and standards, but not judge myself too hard when I do fault on the, non-mindfulness side, the more reactive, non-patient side of things, because it's going to happen. It's inevitable.
Yeah, that's true. Do you think confidence is something we're born with, or something that we build? Like, or do people just they're young and little and they have confidence, or do you think and another note to that too, does it get taken away from you?
That is a great question. And I do think that it's something that naturally we have the ability to possess. Think about just kids, confidence in what they could do, confidence in their answers, even knowing they're wrong. My son all the time tells me how it is.
They always think they're right.
That's not how it is. You could tell me the sky is red, but the sky's not red, but I'll tell you, okay, if you think the sky's red, it's red. There's a lot of confidence in their abilities when they're young. And I think that ties into a lot of different positive character traits, building character traits too, not just confidence. And then there's the unfortunateness that we come across as we get older, of being more influenced by society, being more influenced by what people think. Our upbringing and how our parents guide our emotions is a big thing as a kid, because it's as an adult that we can kind of navigate that ourselves. Sports in itself can be very healthy competition, but it can also be negative, and that just can start to dwindle down the toxicity, if you would, of what competitiveness can bring.
And I love stories like that, because it reminds us that our hardest seasons don't have to define us. And it's so true about the sports thing, because I still remember like playing soccer and always getting hit with the ball, and I hated it. And so I did it. So that made me less confident in myself with sports. So I just never really did it again, because I'm like, you are so hard on yourself, and you think, oh, everyone's staring at you, but really everybody's in their own worlds, and they're not really paying attention to you. And that's something that I've always had to put inside of my head. Did you have thoughts like that?
Yeah, I did.
You're very
I did track. I am. I am. I did track for one day because I got a side stitch. I didn't know how to breathe at the time. And I love running. I love running now. I'm hoping to actually enter the Boulder-thon in September. I've been thinking about it. I've been debating it. But I love running. I love all of that environment. And as a kid, I tracked literally the first day because I was winded and I was the last person to run up the hill, and everyone was waiting for me, and it was so embarrassing. And it's one of those, knowing now the community is so great, it's so welcoming, it's so encouraging. But as a kid, you're like, wow, I stink. I'm not good enough. And you just make those instant decisions. So yes, I know that. Same thing. I did karate for one day. My dad had to leave because my brother was in the class afterward. My dad had to leave to get him sweatpants, and he wasn't there when I finished session, and I got upset, and I didn't do karate after that. So I've had those moments.
You threw a fit.
I threw a fit, and I let it get to me.
I think it starts with us as parents teaching our kids the values and like it's okay if you didn't get that goal, like make them still feel like it's like they're confident in their own selves. And I think that definitely starts with us as parents.
Yeah. And that's why even sometimes, it may be a hindrance if I allowed it to bring the kids into the gym with me. But then I stop and I think about it and I'm like, you know what? It not only gets them involved, but it also allows me to show them hard work, hard work in a different way of taking care of your body and movement. There's things like that where just a little bit of self-reflection. That was one thing I talked to my sister-in-law about when we were both going through postpartum with our second together. There was trying to find the gap of when the baby is sleeping in order to find time for ourselves and do a workout. It's like, why are we finding the gap? Just bring the baby next to us, attach the baby to us, start to involve them. And then it doesn't feel like, oh, I got to wait until they're sleeping in order to do something for myself. And it creates just a whole different mindset shift, but it also creates a whole different bond. And then just seeing them as they get older copy you it's just the coolest feeling. It's something that I don't even think I could put words to aside from saying it's cool.
Yeah, that's great that you had a support system while you were going through the postpartum, because postpartum is so hard for a lot of mothers, and I think a lot of people don't realize what a struggle it really is, and that they do need help at the time. So it's great that you had a support system for that.
Feel very lonely. It can be a very lonely thing, and there's a lot of judgment, self-judgment that can come with it. Of, I'm not a good mom. I'm not good enough. I'm not strong enough because I'm struggling. I'm struggling with the baby crying. I'm struggling with my own mindset. I'm struggling doing something for myself. And that could be a vicious downward cycle. And I think that it's very, very, very common.
How did you get your mindset out of that? When you were going through it?
Was my sister-in-law at the time. I think that I struggled with postpartum with my son all the way up to when I was pregnant with my daughter. And when I was pregnant with her was when I was staying at home. So I had more time to myself in that sense. And I talked to my sister-in-law, who was also pregnant, and we were pregnant at the same time and newly postpartum at the same time, and holding each other accountable. We started a workout program, and we held each other accountable. She's in Pennsylvania. We FaceTimed and screen shared every single day except for the weekends. And that was honestly one of the things that made me feel like I could get back to myself. I could get back to, or not back to in that sense, but I can start to feel more normal and fall in love with the process versus not even starting the process because I didn't feel strong enough.
Exactly. And what advice, because you're lucky you had someone. What about people who don't have anybody? What advice would you give them?
I mean, find someone. There are communities out there. Like it's going to be a little harder, right? Because you're going to have to take that initiative. But even I took that initiative and I had someone. I held myself and she held me accountable and I held her accountable, but I still called her, right? I could have said, no, I'm not doing it today. And I could have done that every single day until the point where she gave up trying to even reach out to me. So if you don't have a support system, there's so many things out there. I find so much love for the fitness community, and I'll push it and I'll talk about it all the time just because the community it's just filled with so many great like-minded people that just want to see others work to be a better version of themselves. And you have so many cheerleaders and there's so many different clubs, and there's also help. There's also therapists that can help you through it if you want to just start on the mind. Being the best version of yourself isn't just being fit, it's mind, body, spirit. It's all of it. So you could be strong, but if you have a weak mind, it's different.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it doesn't just affect us as women. It affects the men too. It affects the husbands. It affects the dads. So, and what advice would you give a guy, a man who's who's seeing their other half going through this?
I think
hang in there.
initiative.
It'll get better.
Yeah. Hang in there, take initiative. Sometimes I'm fine doesn't mean I'm fine. Sometimes we don't know it and we can't speak to what we're feeling when we're in a moment of overwhelming exhaustion. Sometimes silence is not good. It's get educated.
I think it'd be to, yeah, exactly. No, I think it'd be, my advice would be to check in with them. Like, hey, how are you doing today? Do you need help? It was, here's your Instagram. It's so great to have you on the show today. So if people want to get in touch with you, how would they?
So Instagram, so I have this one and then I have a fitness one too. So Instagram is a great form or fashion to get in touch with me, but I also have my phone, which my phone number is 973-775-2207. Those are the best two platforms that I use as far as communication goes. And honestly, even if it's just someone to talk to, I know people say I don't judge and they judge, but I genuinely feel like I don't judge. Sometimes it's just nice to have someone to listen and literally say nothing, to just listen. And I'm always here as a resource.
Exactly. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Hopefully we've helped a lot of people out there. So if anybody wants to help with the mindfulness or fitness, try to get a hold of Toni Longo.
Thank you so much to Toni for being an outstanding guest and providing a lot of great insights about mindfulness and being a mother in business. I think that's really important. Maria, what final words would you like to leave with our audience before we close out today?
I think especially with her talking about the mindfulness and being the postpartum, I think that's a lot. And I think a lot of people don't realize how important it is to check in with people, check in with your friends, your wives, and anything, just to make sure that everyone is in a great space, because it is hard, and I know a lot of people struggle with that.
Absolutely. And we're sharing your websites. We have your book, Raised in Silence. What would you like people to know about this book? Why should they purchase it, and what will they get out of reading it?
It's about it being inclusive and making people feel like they have a safe space where they belong somewhere. So you can use it in business, leadership, and it's explaining how you can be more mindful as well, and just making people be more inclusive.
Fantastic. And for people who are looking for a realtor, who can you help and where?
We can do nationwide. I'm in Colorado, but I have agents nationwide, and that's galluccihomes.com.
All right. Thank you very much for being here and for episode 4 of That's What She Said with Maria Gallucci.
Thank you.
Thank you. So before we sign off, I'm just going to ask our viewership, if you are watching on YouTube, if you would kindly subscribe to both of our channels. We have a different audience on each of those. It's USA Global TV and Radio, and also Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. And if you would like to be a guest on this show, That's What She Said with Maria Gallucci, you can find the show notes, usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session to be a guest on this show or any of our other shows. We currently have actually 32 live shows, and in the archives, we have over 70 different shows. So thank you very much, Maria. Thank you, Toni, and thank you to everybody who's here. We are now signing off before our next show.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
What if many of the problems we associate with aging are not random? What if there are identifiable causes behind declining energy, chronic disease, and memory problems? We have been told that aging is simply something we must accept, that slowing down is normal, that growing older means growing weaker. But what if that's only part of the story? Why do some people remain active and engaged well into their later years? Why do others struggle with disease, fatigue, and declining health? What is happening beneath the surface? What processes drive aging? In Aging Sucks, researcher, educator, and author Red O'Loughlin explores what researchers have discovered about why we grow older. No medical degree required, no confusing jargon, just clear explanations of what researchers have discovered about the processes that influence aging. You cannot stop aging, but understanding its causes may help you make better decisions about your health, your future, and your quality of life. Because understanding comes before action. Action creates hope. Aging sucks. End the guesswork. There is hope.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCramPerkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.